Hey guys, this is Mrs. Carter, and I'm in the bee yard with my husband, who is a teacher at the high school, and we're going to show you a little bit about our honeybees.
All right, so first, here's some tools. First, this is a smoker. This helps calm the bees. Second is a hive tool that I use to pry apart different parts of the hive. And third are some grabbers that I use to grab the frames. So let's take a look inside the hive. First, I'm going to smoke the bees to calm them down. And next, I am going to pull out a frame here and show you what's inside. All these frames are like little parts of the hive, but it's designed so it comes apart and it's easy for me to see what the bees are doing. So right here, this is on the outside of the hive, and you can see there's some yellow right here. That's pollen that the bees use to feed their young, and this glistening liquid will become honey. They gather nectar from flowers, and then they evaporate the water from it and turn it into honey. Right there is a little bit of honey. And on this side, not too much. They've got some spare room there.
How many bees live in this hive?
This one's a small hive, so probably between 5,000 and 10,000. But these ones that are in the background back here easily have over 20,000. So these plastic frames right here work a little bit better when I grab them with my hands. And I'm always very slow and careful when I do this, because the bees will let me know when I'm not.
How do they let you know?
By stinging me.
Uh-oh.
All right, so again, we have lots of pollen in the middle, but right up here at the top, you can see there's wax covering right under these bees. That's honey. And they've evaporated enough of the liquid that they've capped it with wax. And that keeps it good until they need it. And the same here. Oh, and right up here, it may be difficult to see, but there's some honeybee larvae, like little, basically caterpillars. And also, interesting, you can see some bees have some yellow on their legs. They have these special hairs on their back legs that they can use like baskets. And so beekeepers call them pollen baskets. And those bees have been out to flowers and collected pollen to bring back to the hive to feed the babies. Nothing else too interesting there.
Are all the bees in the hive the same?
No, there are 3 different kinds. Most of the bees you've seen so far are female worker bees, and they do all the work in the hive except for one thing.
What work do they do?
They collect honey and pollen, or nectar and pollen. They move it around the hive. They take care of the young. They clean out the hive. They take any dead bees out of the hive so they don't create disease. And
do they protect the hive?
And they guard and protect the hive. So in the middle of this frame, you can see all these brown cells. I call each of these little hexagonal holes cells. And all the ones that have these brown cappings are all honeybee pupa. So kind of like a butterfly starts as a caterpillar and then goes into a chrysalis. These honeybee pupa are changing inside there, and when they're ready and they come out, they will be full-sized female worker bees. Now, some of these bees, you can see right here, it looks like they are communicating and they are exchanging nectar from one bee to the other. Let's see what's happening here.
A lot more baby bees.
Yeah, and you can see there's some pollen here.
And I can see a lot of pollen on that bee right there in its pollen baskets. I don't know where it went.
And right here you can see, if it's light enough, there's some white inside those cells, and those are honeybee larvae. They're like little white caterpillars, but they just stay right in there, and these worker bees feed them and keep them warm and make sure they have everything they need.
What do they feed the baby bees?
Combination of honey, like what these are feeding on right here, and pollen. They combine the two and they call it bee bread. So let's see what's happening in the next frame. Seeing lots of the inner workings of a beehive here.
So you said that most of these bees are worker bees. What other kind of bees are we looking for?
Well, there are male bees that are known as drones, and they are very recognizably different from these worker bees. They're much bigger. They almost look like a small bumblebee. And when I see one, I'll point it out. And the other bee that's really interesting to see is the queen. There's only one per hive. And if we see her, I will certainly point her out. So in this one, you can see pretty clearly there's honeybee larvae right here. And all of these are what are called nurse bees. They're tending all those young. And let's see, right here, more pollen and more larvae. I don't see any drones here, but we'll keep looking. And there's some more of that nectar that they've gathered up at the top.
Where do they get the nectar?
Oh, look right here. This bee right here is doing what's called the bee dance. It's telling other bees where they can find pollen or nectar.
Well, he's trying to tell me the answer to my question. Where does he get the nectar?
From trees and flowers and shrubs and anything that
has a bloom.
All right, let's see if we get lucky and find the queen or some drones. Oh, I see a drone right now, but let's see. Wow, this frame is almost fully covered with honey. And same with this one.
Maybe that's why the drone was there. He's eating the honey.
Yeah, the drones love to eat. Let's see, there he is. There's a drone right there. Notice how his abdomen,
he just flew away.
He didn't like all the attention. Let's see what we find. Maybe about all we see today, but we'll check one more frame.
Oh, I see some honey right there.
Mm-hmm.
It ripped open.
Yeah, right there. That's some sweet stuff. and more here. You can see how this honey is capped, but this isn't because they're still evaporating the liquid there.
All right, well, no queen bee today, but we'll try to check back again another day and see if we can find her. Thanks for watching.